You're lying in your bed, the modern world humming softly around you. Sheets clean, lights dim, perhaps a fan spinning somewhere nearby. But tonight, your imagination is about to take a very different journey. You're going to close your eyes and slip into the distant, dim, and drafty world of medieval daily life. Not the one with knights and princesses on glossy pages, but the real one, the boring one, the cold, itchy, inconvenient, unwashed one, the one that would have made you want to come back to your soft pillow within the hour. This is not an adventure story. This is a lullaby made of straw mattresses, stale bread, and chamber pots. A whispered journey into the parts of history no one would envy. And yet, here in the calm of night, it's the perfect thing to help you drift away. So breathe, slowly, let the quiet take over, and prepare to learn why. As charming as it sounds, you really wouldn't want to last a single day in the Middle Ages, or in many of the other dusty corners of history we'll visit tonight. You wake up not to an alarm, but to the sound of a rooster, loud, insistent, and much earlier than you'd like. Your mattress is a sack of straw, flat and prickly. The air in your tiny wooden hut is colder than you expected, and your breath clouds in front of you. There is no central heating, no insulation, just you, your blanket, and the wind poking through every crack in the walls. You don't have a toothbrush. Hygiene, as you know it, hasn't been invented yet. Your morning breath could scare off wildlife. There's no running water. To wash your face, you have to pour from a wooden bucket filled the night before. Or worse, walk the well outside and draw water in the icy dark. There's no coffee. There's not even tea. If you're lucky, there might be a chunk of coarse bread left over from yesterday. It's hard as stone. You chew it slowly, wondering if your teeth will survive. No butter, no jam, just bread. And now your day truly begins. Your clothes are simple and scratchy. A tunic made of rough wool, woven thick and uneven. Underwear, if you have it, is made of linen that hasn't been washed in days. Laces and ties instead of buttons and zippers. Everything itches. Everything smells faintly of smoke, earth, and livestock. Shoes? If you have any, they're made of leather and stiff from the cold. No laces, no soles with grip, just flat, hard coverings that keep your feet barely safe. You walk carefully, feeling every stone to the thin soles. Here are no weekends, no holidays, unless it's a feast day declared by the church. So you head out to do chores. That could mean feeding chickens, collecting eggs, chopping firewood, or walking miles to gather kindling. Your hands are already numb, and the sun isn't even above the hills. There's no hot breakfast waiting, no reward, just the satisfaction that the fire might stay lit today, and the animals won't starve. The smell of manure is always in the air. It never leaves your clothes. You've learned not to notice. Sometimes you see travelers or monks pass by. They walk with purpose, but never in a hurry. The world moves slowly here. Every task takes time. No shortcuts, no machines, just hands and effort. Lunch is not a break. It's a moment of necessity. Perhaps some boiled grains, maybe broth with a few vegetables, if you're lucky. Meat is rare. Salt is expensive. Spices are for the rich. You eat with your hands, or with a wooden spoon that's seen better days. There's no napkin, no tablecloth, just a bench or the ground. And after eating, there's more work. Always more work. And if you're sick, too bad. You still work. There are no sick days. No pills. Just hope and prayers. And herbal tea if someone in the village knows how to make it you haven't bathed in days. Maybe weeks. Water is too precious. Warm baths are myths, unless you're nobility. Your teeth ache from the bread. You can't read, and neither can most of your neighbors. Your hair is oily. Your fingernails are blackened with dirt. But this is normal. Toilets? A hole in the ground. A wooden seat if you're fancy. Most likely, you go outside and hope no one is watching. Injuries are dangerous. Infections are common. A small cut could mean death. There are no antibiotics. No doctors as you know them. Just herbalists, midwives, and prayers. When the sun sets, the village goes quiet. There is no electricity. No street lights. Just candles and firelight. You're tired, bone tired, and the idea of entertainment is a story told by a neighbor or a song passed down for generations. You crawl back into bed, the same straw-filled sack, the same cold air. You're exhausted. Your muscles ache. You hope the roof doesn't leak tonight. And tomorrow, it starts all over again. Now you know, the medieval world wasn't full of shining armor and sweeping romance. It was dirt, labor, discomfort, and silence. It was patience and pain and long, slow hours of survival. And that's OE Day. One slow, honest day in a time most of us wouldn't last through. Not because we're weak, but because we were never meant to live that way. We are soft, spoiled, comfortable, and that's okay. So tonight, as you drift off into sleep, be thankful for your soft sheets, your pillow, your toothbrush, your warm socks. Life in an industrial mill town. Now the world is louder, not with birds or wind, but with machinery. You open your eyes to the sound of clanging, metal striking metal, gears turning, steam hissing. The morning is not quiet. It is factory noise, relentless and grim. Your room is small. The walls are damp. Mold stains the corners. A single window lets in a slice of light and cold dust. It coats everything, your clothes, your bed, your breath, even your dreams. You pull on your boots, worn at the heel, and button your wool coat, which still hasn't dried from yesterday's rain. You eat what's left of a cold potato. That's breakfast. Maybe there's weak tea, if your neighbor was generous. Outside, everything is gray. Smoke billows from chimneys. Streets are thick with mud. The workday starts before the sky fully brightens. You walk to the mill and clock in, not with a smile, not with purpose, but with acceptance. This is the day. This is every day. Inside, the factory floor is roaring. Machines spin so fast your ears feel like they're humming. You stand for hours. You pull threads, hammer bolts, or sort coal until your arms feel hollow and your thoughts dissolve. Safety is a concept for the wealthy. Here, accidents are part of rhythm. And if your hands bleed, you keep working. You don't own a bath. If you're lucky, there's a public washroom once a week. If you're very lucky, you find a moment of quiet on your walk home, watching the fog curl around the rooftops as the day falls into soot-colored dusk. Life in a remote Scandinavian village. You awaken beneath a fur pelt. It is still dark, but that is normal here. The sun comes late and leaves early. Your breath rises in white wisps. The air inside the log cabin is sharper than expected. Your bones feel stiff, but you move anyway. The stove has gone out. You must bring it back to life. You dress in layers of wool and leather. Your boots are heavy. Everything smells of smoke and damp earth. Outside, snow has covered path, erasing yesterday's footprints. You trudge toward the woodshed with an axe in your hand. It's not a choice, it's survival. The wood must be split, carried, stacked, again and again. Inside, your wife kneads dough beside a stone oven. The flour is coarse. The bread will be tough but filling. You drink warm broth made from root vegetables and dried fish. It is salty, simple, satisfying. When the sun does rise, it brings little warmth. You tend to goats. You fix tools. You patch a leak in a roof. You speak little, there is no need. The rhythm of winter speaks for everyone. The day passes slowly. By twilight, you are spent. The fire crackles now. The cabin glows gold. You wrap yourself once more in your fur and listen to the howling wind beyond the walls. There is no silence like winter silence. And somehow, in that chill and stillness, sleep arrives. A merchant's day on the ancient Silk Road. Morning arrives with a quiet rustle of tents and the soft crunch of sand beneath your worn leather boots. The sun is not yet high, but the desert air is already warming. You rise slowly, your back sore from sleeping on packed earth. A small brazier glows with the last embers of last night's fire. Your caravan is stirring. Camels grunt, merchants mumble, and the smell of boiling tea mixed with sweat and spice fills the air. You check your wares, bolts of silk, jars of dried herbs, glinting beads of lapis lazuli, all packed tightly for the long journey ahead. Breakfast is a handful of nuts and hard bread washed down with warm, bitter tea. There is no time for luxury. You ride for hours, swaying on the back of your camel. The desert rolls endlessly. Wind lifts the sand in lazy spirals. There are no towns in sight, no rest, only the endless road and your thoughts. At midday, you stop in the shade of a narrow rock formation. You share a quiet meal with others in the caravan. Language is a dance here, part trade, part gesture, part shared experience. You barter for water. You trade a silk ribbon for a chunk of honeyed figure. The road resumes, and on it goes into the dusk. At nightfall, you camp beneath a sky dripping with stars. You tie your camel. You rest your head on a folded cloak. Your body aches, but your goods are safe. Tomorrow, the road will stretch forward again, and you will follow it. Not because it is easy, but because this is your life. Life as a Roman bath attendant. You start your day before the sunrise, stepping into the warm fog of the baths. Steam fills the air, swirling like ghosts through marble halls. The scent is heavy, oil, sweat, and faint traces of sulfur. Your tunic clings to your damp skin as you scrub the stones. Your hands redden from hot water. Patrons arrive in waves. Some demand massages. Others gossip as they soak. You move silently, like part of the walls themselves. You sweep, refill braziers, fetch buckets from the caldarium. Your breaks are short, your tasks endless, but the quiet of the frigidarium, the chill of the stone and its stillness, feels like your only sanctuary. You envy the senators and poets who recline in luxury, but your hands, stained with oil and soot, are not meant for leisure. Morning light filters through paper screens. Your kimono rustles softly as you bow toward your elders. Breakfast is rice and pickled vegetables. You walk silently through a narrow lane, passing merchants preparing stalls and monks sweeping temple stones. Today you serve in a tea house, preparing water, tending the garden, moving with precision and grace. Your words are few. Each step, each breath, each silence is part of your duty. The city hums, but you are still. You fold napkins like prayer. You sweep tatami mats with reverence. The smallest mistake, a spill, a word too loud, brings shame. But if you perform well, you may pass unnoticed, which is the closest thing to peace. The kitchen is alive before the city wakes. Enormous pots of rice, bubbling curries, trays of spiced lamb. All must be prepared by hand. You chop, peel, grind, and stir without end. The heat is suffocating. Fire crackles. Spices tickle your nose until it stings. You do not taste anything. That is forbidden. You work among dozens of others. You do not speak. You nod. You measure everything by sight and instinct. The food must be perfect, yet no one will praise you. The Sultan eats far away, in silk robes, surrounded by dancers and soft music. You eat in silence, sitting on the floor, your hands still stained with turmeric. You wake the bells, not birds. Silence is sacred. You wear robes of coarse wool, tied with cord. Meals are shared in hushed reverence. Bread, beans, water. You copy text by hand, each letter a prayer. Outside, wind scrapes stone. Inside, your days pass in ritual and repetition. You sweep floors, mend robes, tend herbs. The world beyond the walls moves fast, but here it crawls. You've taken a vow, and in that vow, you find a strange, gentle peace. The air smells of damp earth and ash. You begin your day crouched beside a turning wheel, hands already slick with wet clay. The sun has not yet reached over the ziggurat's edge, but your workshop is warm from the kiln's slow burn. You shape pots with practiced movements, rounded bellies, narrow necks, flared rims. Each vessel has a purpose. Water, grain, oil, offerings. There is no hurry. The clay must speak first. Your fingers feel every imperfection, smoothing, reshaping, listening. Outside, the city murmurs with early footsteps. Scribes, shepherds, women grinding grain. But here it is quiet. The wheel turns. The fire crackles. Dust gathers on your eyelashes. You pause to sip sour date wine from a chipped cup you once made. The world shifts slowly, and you are part of its rhythm. You rise with the sun, but there are no clocks. Only the chatter of birds and the slow brightening of sky beyond the thatch. Your home is round, built of clay and straw, cool from a night, but warming fast. You step outside barefoot. The soil is dry, cracked with old sun. You carry your hoe to the edge of the sorghum field and begin. There is no rush, but the rhythm is steady. Dig, lift, swing. The earth softens under your hand, and the scent of dust rises. Goats call nearby. Children carry water in gourds balanced on their heads. Your stomach grumbles. You chew roasted groundnuts and drink thin millet porridge. Your only break is the midday shade beneath the acacia tree. You rest there, listen to insects buzz and wind move gently through the leaves. In the afternoon, you tend the goats and repair your fence. Thorns are your tools. Your hands know every knot and twist. The sun sets slow, like a song fading. You light a small fire. Smoke curls upward. Dinner is beans, grain, maybe a sliver of dried meat. You eat with your fingers, sitting cross-legged. The fire glows as stars multiply above. A drum sounds faintly in the distance. But here you rest. Here, you have done what needed doing. Dawn creeps through a lattice window. You sit cross-legged on a bamboo mat, already grinding ink with a quiet, practiced rhythm. The block squeaks softly against stone, releasing a rich black that stains your fingers and fills the air with a faint, woody scent. You prepare your brush, wolf hair, bound with thread, and unroll the parchment. Outside, the courtyard is still. Birds hop along tiled roofs. The world waits. You copy characters from memory, hundreds of them, each stroke exact. Your master walks behind you, silent as a shadow, but you feel his gaze. One mistake, and the whole scroll must be redone. Hours pass. You do not count them. You work until your back aches. Your fingers tremble. At midday, you sip rice porridge with pickled vegetables and stare at a pine tree through the open door. Its branches sway like they're riding in the sky. In the afternoon, you study ancient poems or record the day's harvest reports. Each marked neat, deliberate. There is no rush, no noise, just brush, breath, and discipline. By nightfall, your lamp glows golden. The ink dries, the scrolls are stacked, and you bow before the shrine, grateful for a day spent in silence and structure. The sun is barely up when you enter the stone kitchen, breath fogging in the cool morning air. The fire from the night before is embers now, and you crouch to coax it back to life. The scent of last night's herbs still lingers, rosemary, thyme, and garlic, burned into the air. The kitchen is wide and echoing, with wooden beams blackened by decades of smoke. You don't own recipes. You remember them. By feel, by smell, by tradition. You knead dough with strong forearms, dust flour from your cheeks, and chop onions until your eyes sting. Over the hearth, stews bubble in copper pots. Bread bakes slowly. The air warms. Apprentices come and go, shouting, laughing, sweating. The noble family will expect a feast tonight. Roast meat, fresh cheese, something sweet if sugar can be spared. You taste carefully, never too much. A cook eats standing. A cook eats last. As the afternoon stretches on, the kitchen becomes a blur of fire and movement. The clatter of pans, the scent of lemon zest and olive oil, the hiss of wine hitting a hot pan. When the dishes are finally carried out, steaming and golden, you watch from the shadows. Your satisfaction is not in applause, but in the silence that follows the first bite. The waves crash endlessly below, even before your eyes open. The stone tower groans with each gust of sea wind. You pull on a wool sweater, stiff with salt, and climb the spiral stairs. They creak. Your knees ache. At the top, the glass room smells of oil and rust. You trim the wick, check the mechanism, polish the lenses. The light must never fail. Ships depend on you, though they never see your face. Meals are simple: bread, cheese, maybe a bit of dried herring. You eat with the gulls for company. You record the weather in a thick leather-bound log. Fog, heavy. Wind northeast. Tide high. The hours are slow, wrapped in mist and isolation. You watch storms roll in like battles on the horizon. The light spins, constant, mechanical, faithful. Night falls early, and the only glow is your lantern and the sweeping beam above. You sleep in short shifts, always half listening, always half awake. A life marked not by days, but by ships safely passing. Your hands are already white with marble dust when the sun climbs over the olive trees. You've been at work since first light, chiseling at a slab that will one day be a god or hero. The courtyard is shaded but warm and filled with the ringing rhythm of your mallet. Every strike is measured, every line deliberate. You do not rush art. You coax it. Your workshop smells of stone, oil, and sweat. Apron apprentices sweep shavings from your feet and bring you fresh water in clay jugs. You drink deeply, eyes fixed on the curve of a shoulder you're shaping. Outside, the city stirs. Market stalls open. Sandals scrape cobblestone. Poets recite beneath fig trees. But you are here, shaping beauty from silence. You pause only for a bite of bread and olives, sitting beneath a fig tree in the rear courtyard. You watch birds hop across the lintel, carefree, and you wonder briefly what they see in your work. Then it's back to carving. Hours of focus, lost in the grain of the marble. Evening cools the air. You dust off your robes, clean your tools, and bow to the unfinished statue. Tomorrow you will return, and the stone will speak again. The press sits like a sleeping beast in the corner, its wooden arms still in the morning chill. You bow before beginning, offering incense at a small altar tucked beside the door. This is not merely work. It is preservation. You ink each card block with care, pressing rice paper against its surface, rolling evenly, peeling slowly. The scent of pine, soot, ink, and paper fills the room. Light filters through oil parchment windows. You hear the soft crackle of drying pages and the occasional call of a crow outside. You move with method, block after block, sheet after sheet. Your robe is smudged black, your fingers stained, your knees sore from hours kneeling. You pause to sip barley tea from a cracked cup. You read none of the words. You don't need to. You know their shape, their spacing, their sacred rhythm. In the afternoon, a scholar arrives, robes fluttering, hands clasped behind his back. He nods at your work, says nothing, and leaves. You smile just a little. As evening cools the air, you hang pages to dry on bamboo lines. Dozens of characters.